Well, children, today in this video I am going to talk about measuring several things and how important it is in our life. Well, from the topic heading, how wide is this desk? This question doesn't mean that we are going to talk about the measurement of the width of the desk or the height of the desk. It's a general thing where we are going to discuss about in ancient time how things were being measured and whether it was considered authentic or not. Pehle, in the initial stage, in the ancient time, people used to use their body parts to measure the distance or measure any object or measure length of any place, etc., etc. So they used to use their palm, they used to use their arm length, they used to use their foot to measure, or they used to keep a fixed object to measure the length or distance of any place or length of any object. Here in the picture you can see measuring the length of a desk with gilli and danda. Gilli danda is a game which nowadays it has just vanished because children hardly they play in the street, but in our times and yet even the street boys they sometimes they play where they have a big stick like this and one small gilli sharpened from both the sides, and children play with this. They strike it and they bat the gilli in such a way, and how far it can go they used to see. But here we are not playing the game, but we are going to use the danda and gilli to measure the length of the desk. See, the danda is kept, then one gilli is kept. And again gilli and then danda, or danda and gilli. Then from this we can say 2 dandas and 2 gillis. The length of the desk is 2 danda and gilli. Okay. Same way when in ancient time when clothes were being measured, they used to keep one big stick or a strip. Using that strip they used to measure how many strip long is the sari or the cloth is, right? So but then this type of measuring the things were not considered to be standard, because suppose if I am using my palm length like this, if I am using it like this to measure by the table, see 1, then 2, then just a minute, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 4, not 4 fingers but 3 fingers. 6 and 3 fingers. 6 palm and 3 finger is the length of the table on which I have kept the book for teaching you, while teaching you. So, but my palm is of this length. If somebody else measures it, if a small kid comes and measures it, then what happens? Her or his palm will be smaller in size, then the number of palm of her size will be more while measuring the length of the table. So we cannot consider it as a standard form of way of measuring any object. So there came into existence the standard form of or standard unit, SI unit, to measure objects and measure length or measure distance between 2 places, 2 objects, or measure height of anything living or non-living. So let's move on to, here in this picture you can see 10.4 measuring the length of the desk with string length. You take a fixed length of a string, and with that fixed length of a string you can measure the desk, as I showed you using my palm how I measured the length of the table surface. Now let's see 10.3 some measurements. Now if I ask you to measure the length and breadth of the classroom, then what are we going to do? If I don't give you any meter scale or any measuring tape, which are considered to be the standard device to measure the length and breadth of any space or place, then what will you do? You will use something to measure it. You will run your gray cells and think whatever you have, you will use it to measure the length of the classroom. If I would have been told to do and no measuring tape would have been given to me, then I will use my foot. What will I do? I will use my foot and start measuring the length and breadth of the classroom. I will use the foot as I used my palm, like that. How many times my foot length will be the length of the class and breadth of the class. Okay, तो इसी तरह से आपके पास अगर डंडा है तो क्या करोगे, वो डंडा को यूज़ करोगे एक how many times it is being taken to measure the length and breadth of the classroom. So this is how we measure it if a standard measuring tape is not given to you. Okay, so but the need of the standard units of measurement came into existence after long time, when people realized in ancient time that it was not the perfect way of measuring object. जैसे कि पहले बार्टर सिस्टम था, आपको अगर राइस चाहिए तो आप क्या करोगे, आपके पड़ोसी के पास जाओगे, एक कटोरी आपके घर के नाप का एक बाउल राइस आपके पास जो कुछ भी है, सामने वाले को पूछोगे आपको क्या चाहिए, तो अगर उसको wheat चाहिए, if your neighbor wants wheat, then what would you do? You will exchange one bowl of wheat for one bowl of rice with your neighbor. आप अपने नेबर को एक कटोरी wheat दोगे और उसके बदले आप उसके पास से एक कटोरी राइस लोगे. That is called barter. You share the thing of your measure which you require it with the person who needs the same amount of object of his or her requirement. लेकिन उस तरह से तो नहीं चलता, तो यहाँ पे arise हुआ the need of standard units of measurement. So wherever you go, whether you move from India to your neighboring country or from the neighboring country they come to our country, then the length, width and everything, like capacity or distance or weight of object, everything should be standard. It should not change, it should remain the same. So that's the reason why standard units of measurement came into existence. In ancient times, the length of a foot, the width of a finger and the distance of a step were commonly used as different units of measurement. The people of the Indus Valley civilization must have used very good measurements of length, because we see evidence in excavations of perfectly geometrical construction. Now evidence in excavation of perfectly geometrical construction मतलब जब खुदाई काम होता है तो खुदाई काम करने पर पता चला कि जो पुराने स्ट्रक्चर्स जो मिट्टी के नीचे, ज़मीन के नीचे दब गए थे, या तो फिर पुराने बिल्डिंग्स जो ढूंढने पर मिला है, उसको कहते हैं एक्सकेवेशन, फाइंडिंग आउट, सर्चिंग आउट द एंशिएंट पीरियड कंस्ट्रक्शंस एंड थिंग्स. सो उस वक्त के बिल्डिंग्स और स्ट्रक्चर्स को देख के ऐसा लगता है कि परफेक्टली उन्होंने मेज़रमेंट लेके, ज्योमेट्रिकल मेज़रमेंट लेके कंस्ट्रक्शन किया हुआ है, विच seemed to be scientifically perfect, geometrically perfect. That means the Indus Valley civilization knew the standard way of measuring the things.